What's up, guys? Welcome to Fantasy Smack Talk. I'm Dustin, and this is the Week 9 Waiver Wire Show. Let's get right into your must-adds. The most added player this week is going to be Ryan Moats. Everyone saw what he did on Sunday, but there's a lot of question marks moving forward with how many carries he's going to be getting, but he's worth picking up just in case he is going to remain the featured back out there. We wouldn't use a number one waiver number on him, but we do think he's worth picking up. Another guy worth picking up is Jamal Charles. We were shocked to see he's owned in less than 40% of leagues. He's going to be given every chance to be the new featured back out there with the Chiefs. Who knows, Larry Johnson might not even come back this year. We especially like Charles in PPR leagues, so add him now if he's available. Now we got a receiver for you, and that's Malcolm Floyd. He's owned in less than 15% of leagues. Chris Chambers has been dropped by the Chargers. This is going to put Floyd into the starting lineup. Now we think Floyd's going to be an inconsistent fantasy receiver, but we do think he has some big games. He's got big play potential, and he's going to be a nice red zone threat for the Chargers. So add Floyd if you're looking for some receiver depth. Now we got two defenses that we think are worth picking up this week. First, we'll start with Seattle against Detroit. Now, Seattle has had some good defensive games this year, but they have been inconsistent. But with a matchup against the Lions this week, we think they have a big fantasy week. Then we got Atlanta versus the Redskins. The Redskins are so bad on offense. Atlanta doesn't have an amazing defense, but we think Atlanta's going to be able to take advantage of the weak Redskin offense. Both these defenses are on about 25% of leagues. Out of the two, I like Seattle a little bit more, but I think both of these defenses are good pickup and plays this week. Now let's talk about 5 running backs who I think are worth adding in some deeper leagues. That all these guys have upside, and we think they're worth picking up and just stashing on your bench, and hopefully they'll get it going at some point. First guy I want to talk about, Sean Green. He was a big waiver wire pickup last week, but he had not a very good game on Sunday, and with a bye week, week 9, he's probably even going to be getting dropped in a lot of leagues. We think he is going to have value at some point this season, especially if there's a Thomas Jones injury. Go ahead and add him now to give you some running back depth with some upside on your bench. Then let's head out to Oakland with McFadden and Fargas. It's probably going to be a dreaded timeshare out there, but that's not guaranteed. I think both these guys are worth adding in deeper leagues if you have the roster spot, just in case one of them emerges. Then we got out there in New Orleans with Mike Bell. I was surprised to see he's owned in less than 50% of leagues. He's getting a lot of carries right now, and if any one of the two running backs with Bell and the three-headed monster, either Pierre Thomas or Reggie Bush, goes down out there with the Saints, Bell's going to be huge like he was at the beginning of the year. And the last guy I want to talk about is Derek Ward. He's owned in about 35% of leagues. We all saw what he did last year with the Giants. We know he's a good running back. We think he might be able to get it going at some point this season. Now with 2 top 10 tight ends going out in each of the last 2 weeks with Cooley and Owen Daniels, a lot of people are looking at tight ends right now. So let's go ahead and talk about some of those. Let's start out there with the Texans. We got Dreesen and James Casey. Now, I know a lot of people are looking at these two guys to pick up and just thinking they're going to, pick up where Owen Daniels left off. We're not sure that's the case. There's way too many question marks on even which one of these two is going to be the most fantasy relevant. I would steer clear of this until we have a few more answers. One guy we think might be worth adding in deeper leagues, or if you're desperate for a tight end, is Fred Davis. He's filling in for Cooley. He's owned in less than 10% of leagues. Back in week 7 after Cooley got hurt, Davis filled in quite nicely. We think he could have some value, but he's probably going to be inconsistent. Then Dustin Keller, if you're thinking long term, he has a bye week this week, but he's only owned in about 50% of leagues. He had a great game on Sunday. We do think he's going to be inconsistent as well, but he has a big upside out there with the Jets. And one guy, Carlson, if he's available, I'd go ahead and pick him up if you need a tight end. He's only owned in about 75% of leagues, and especially this week, if you can get him, he's going up against Detroit. We think he might have a really good game this Sunday. Now I want to talk about some people that you might want to add if your league counts return yards. First guy I want to talk about is a defensive player. So this is actually if your league counts return yards and you're in an individual defensive player league. But this is Ladarius Webb. He's a cornerback for the Ravens. He has over 400 return yards so far. And now he's not a starting cornerback, but he did have 3 tackles on Sunday. So if he starts getting involved a little bit more in the actual defense and can give you maybe 2 to 5 tackles a game, we think he's a must-add in individual defensive player leagues that count return yards. Now in leagues standard leagues that count return yards, we like Mike Thomas. He's had 11 catches in the last 2 games. He's owned in less than 10% of leagues right now. He's their main punt returner, and he does get involved in the kick returns as well. We think he's definitely worth taking a look at in leagues that count return yards. So this is just a list of the Week 9 waiver wire, a portion of the list of the Week 9 waiver wire. To see the full list, go into FantasySmackTalk.com and click on Week 9 waiver wire on the home page. So that's it for this edition. Brent and I will see you later on in the week.